in these sessions are linked with each other, because you will have to see the first session, whatever we will be talking, we will be telling you, experts will be guiding you. The second is also related to that. So that's why there is a chain of knowledge and the issues related to that. You are requested to attend all the sessions, and the National Center for Innovation in Distance Education, IGNO, has always been trying to guide, train, and mentor our students to take their idea to a successful end, maybe a successful startup or enterprise. That is our basic objectives, and that's why the sessions in this 3-day program have been designed in a way that they will help you in finding solution to the problems and challenges which you might be facing while converting your idea into a startup. So the sessions will be very useful, and to make them more useful, you are requested to interact as much as possible. Ask your questions, ask your doubts to the experts, clarify your doubts, whatever challenges, problems you are facing, you are likely to face. Because this should not be one way, like expert are coming and they are telling you whatever they want to tell you. No, it should be two-way. They will be telling you something, but at the same time you also try to apply your mind, think differently, and then ask the related questions, related problems, and related challenges which are likely to be there. So with that, I think without taking much time, it will be good to listen to our expert. So be with us for all 3 days, and try to learn as much as possible through interaction, and also try to network with each other, because networking with each other, learning from each other, if any one of you knows something related to a topic, kindly share that knowledge. If you have your own experience, you have your own knowledge that you share with other students, so that way this session should be very useful, fruitful to all of you. That I wish to all of you. So thank you very much, Dr. Josna. I think we can start the first session now.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma, for your valuable comments. And I hope that they have given a kind of guidance to all the participants how they will be moving ahead with these sessions and the training program. So I welcome all of you once again to the first session of this training program, which is on innovation prototype validation, converting innovations into startups. All of you know that innovation is crucial in staying competitive and meeting the ever-changing demand of the customers. We are also quite aware that just having a groundbreaking idea is not enough. If you are able to convert your business idea into an innovation which leads to a successful startup, then you know that it requires a kind of a rigorous validation and strategic planning. So this particular session aims to equip all of you with the knowledge and tools that you need to validate your innovation effectively and navigate through the journey of setting up a startup and seeing it growing. So today we have Dr. Ashutosh Pastor, Senior Manager and Head Incubation, who's managing startup incubation at the Foundation for Innovation and Technology Transfer at Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. He's supporting and implementing various funding programs for innovators and entrepreneurs in the biotechnology domain like BioRack, Big, Seed, Leap, Pfizer IIT Delhi Innovation and IP program, and many other government and CSR funded programs. He's also managing the Sparsh scheme. He is an innovation enthusiast, working closely with startups to enable their journey, creating awareness for the entrepreneur ecosystem, managing startup incubation and innovation support program to fund and mentor startups, and he's trained in life sciences and a lifelong learner for all tech areas. He's also working towards creating an incubator on climate entrepreneurs. So without wasting much time, I welcome Dr. Pastor to deliver his session and guide our students, motivate them in their journey of setting up a startup. Dr. Pasha.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Dikshit, and thank you, Dr. Sharma, for setting the context for the 3-day workshop for students. Given that we're having the first session, I would like to give a broader overview of the entire things, but obviously I would try to highlight on idea and prototype validation that we should begin with. Right. So with that, we'll begin. And as Dr. Dikshit mentioned, I think we would like to keep it more interactive. I don't want to have a monologue, and you can stop me anywhere and ask questions. I hope people are allowed to ask questions, and otherwise, you can write in the chat box as and when you have a query. I'll take it as it is, or maybe I can answer it later on once we complete. So I'll switch off the video, but I'll share a quick presentation. Uh, all right, I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's begin. And as I mentioned, like you guys can ask questions to me at any point of time. Now, we're all talking about startups, and obviously, given the current scenario, startups are actually talked about a lot. Uh, this is a good thing to have actually. When we started our journey as an incubator in 1999, that time, while people were creating businesses, but startup was not a buzzword, and from there now, I mean, we've seen the ecosystem change. And a lot of things we have realized through our experience over the years working closely with startups. So, in my personal capacity, I've worked with about 200 startups till now, helping them at different points. And the incubator has obviously supported much more than that. So, it's very important to kind of do a lot of homework before you go in for a startup. And also, I mean, the way we are discussing today to validate your idea and clearly understand whether you have a market for that or not. And let me keep it a bit interactive. So, uh, to all the participants here, if they're able to answer the queries, how many of you are already thinking about doing a startup or have an idea in mind?
Yes, I do actually. I've been sort of working on various multidisciplinary science applications for quite some time now,
Okay.
and it's been the research has been intensive. Sometimes very challenging, sometimes less challenging, but uh, on the whole, it's been a tough journey. I do plan to sort of build prototypes, and to build prototypes, the few aspects that came to my mind were the requirement of scientists in prototype development and design,
Yeah.
because designing an application is something that is not so challenging, but when you are actually applying different sciences in a particular manner to do a particular function, or
Yes,
to do
yes.
something,
You'll need scientific terms. So I
right,
think
right.
we can have more detailed, specific discussions. I mean, towards the discussion. So I'll keep it short, or maybe around 40 minutes or so, and then I would suggest maybe next 40 minutes we can use more for discussion. But just wanted to get an overview, like how many of you are actually thinking about startups. So, uh, to all of you who've actually thought about an idea and you are embarking on a journey of entrepreneurship, and again thinking that your idea looks great, uh, tell me how many of you have actually kind of tried to reach out to people uh, and had conversations around the problem that you're trying to solve. And while I say that, the point would be that you should not talk about the product that you're building, but you should talk about the challenge these people are facing and how they are currently mitigating it. So, any of you have done this exercise already?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Good morning, sir. Myself is Namrata, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, actually, I am working on a service-based startup, sir. It is not product-based. A
That's okay. Even
service-based
if,
startup.
so I'm not talking about the product as of now. I'm just talking about
Yeah.
whatever idea you have. Have you talked to the customer about the problem that you're trying to solve? So obviously, even if
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
app, even if it's a software, there should be some problem that you're solving, right?
Yeah, sir. I have done some basic research and some primary service type so that where my ideation is needed or not, I have worked on that aspect, sir. I have talked with my customers and I have talked with the services which I am planning to offer about them. So these are the
So
things which I
how do
have
you
done, and
how do
that
you
was quite.
generally how do you generally approach a customer? I mean,
Uh,
when you go to a customer, do you talk more about the problem or your solution?
Sir, I do both things because I am with solution. So initially, I have talked with my near ones, dear ones, friends, those who are residing abroad and everywhere. So I have talked with them and having and got feedback about my this ideation, that whether it is feasible or not, whether it is a need in the market or not. So I have done this, and I have also developed survey forms which I have shared with them through mails, and then I got a good feedback through my that survey forms.
All right.
So these are the things which I
So,
have worked.
this is good. So survey forms and talking to friends and family is good to begin with, but that has its own limitations. So you have to go a little
Yeah,
out of that as well. So
yeah.
see, the way I generally suggest, and many of our experts also mention, that when you start doing an idea validation, you actually reach out to people who you don't even know, maybe random people having such kind of conversations at airports, train stations, coffee shops, wherever you find. And I mean,
Okay.
in India, we are actually able to strike conversations while traveling with
Yeah,
people and a lot of other places, right? So
yeah, yeah.
that's how you build on a case and actually get
Okay. That.
honest feedback of people, because obviously when we start talking about our solution along with the problem, people we
Mhm.
know are biased and they'll probably try and support you, right? But having these
Mhm.
conversations, and more particularly about the problem rather than what you're offering as of now, let's hold it a bit.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
that's
Thank you,
that's an important way to actually reach out to people and get a honest
sir.
feedback about whether they are facing a problem. Will they be willing to pay
Mhm.
if a solution, or if a solution exists and all, and then slowly you come to like maybe a solution that they're building, and get a feedback around that. But the conversation should always begin. So the first important thing is to identify whether there is a clear need of whatever you're
Yes, sir.
trying to build, right? So
Right, right, sir.
to every startup, I mean, we would suggest try and talk to at
Mhm.
least 25, or if possible 100 such people who are
Mhm.
almost strangers to you, but you feel
Yes, sir.
these are the people who can be my potential customers, right?
Right, sir.
So,
Right, right.
so these conversations will help you identify. And again, I'm also emphasizing on the word potential customers, because if you don't think that person will be your customer, the person probably is not having that need, right? So we look
Hmm.
from that perspective. My apologies, there's some
Okay.
construction going next to my office, so there'll be some disturbance. I'm so sorry for that.
No.
So,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I will keep it in mind. Your suggestion is very good. Thank you, sir.
so first we identify a clear need, then we research and observe how people are currently trying to uh, go through it, or maybe mitigate it, or whatever current solution they are using it. Then we prioritize and insight, like what all can we build, what could be the better solutions, what could be like maybe less likely used solutions, and then
Mhm.
narrow down and finally come up, okay, this is something which I should build. And this will be
Yeah.
primarily based on your own expertise. So while I know that there are multiple challenges, but I would try to build rather something which is in my area of expertise, because then I'll be able to add the most value to it. So based on that, you come
Okay.
up and narrow down the concept, and you start building a prototype. So this is kind of like a design thinking approach that is generally used. And then even with prototypes, you might have to like kind of make multiple iterations until there's an MVP ready. Then you go to the customer and then uh, get feedback, and again improve it. And along with that, I mean, even for a company that has reached to a stage where they're actually having products in market, there's a feedback loop. So products keep on improving all the time. So this is the question to all of you who are actually trying to do startup. Are we ready? So how many of you
Hello.
who are doing a startup think you're ready to kind of do a startup now? Yes, there's some question.
यस सर, अभी आपने पूछा था कि लोगों से हम अपने स्टार्टअप को लेकर मिले हैं या नहीं अपने आइडिया को लेके।
हम्म,
तो सर मैं बिहार से बिलोंग करता हूँ।
जी।
मैंने अपने स्टार्टअप आइडिया पे काम किया है। जो हमारे तरफ जो लोकल आर्टिस्ट होते हैं ना, जैसे जो मिट्टी का बर्तन बनाते हैं या फिर जो बेम्बो आर्टिस्ट होते हैं, हमारे तरफ चंगेरा बोलते हैं, जो बेम्बो बास्केट बनाते हैं।
राइट।
तो मेरे दिमाग में एक आइडिया आया था कि अगर हम इन सब चीजों को लाइक जो बेम्बो आर्टिस्ट होते हैं या फिर जो मिट्टी के बर्तन बनाते हैं, उसको हम अपने तरफ के आर्ट फॉर्म के साथ, लाइक हमारे तरफ मिथिला पेंटिंग एंड मधुबनी पेंटिंग बहुत फेमस है,
राइट,
तो उसके साथ इन चीजों को मर्ज कर दे और इसके कोलैबोरेशन पे काम करे, तो ये हमारे लिए बहुत बढ़िया प्रोडक्ट बन जाएगा। और जैसे कि जो इसके आर्टिस्ट होते हैं उनको अच्छा पे मिल भी नहीं पाता है। वो बहुत मेहनत के साथ वो बेम्बो वर्क करते हैं, मिट्टी के बर्तन बनाते हैं, लेकिन उनको उस तरह का पैसा या वो नहीं मिल पाता है गांव में पहचान।
राइट।
अगर
तो अभी
हम
आपने आइडेंटिफाई किया है, फॉर एग्जांपल मे बी, आई मीन आई वोंट गो टू मच इनटू स्पेसिफिक कन्वर्सेशंस, बट जस्ट टू हैव इट एज अ पार्ट ऑफ द प्रेजेंटेशन टुडे। आपके हिसाब से आप किन कस्टमर्स को रीच आउट करेंगे ताकि उनको एक बेटर वैल्यू मिल पाए उनके प्रोडक्ट्स की?
लाइक सर, इन प्रोडक्ट्स को हम इंटीरियर डिजाइनिंग में भी यूज कर सकते हैं, या फिर जो हमारा ट्रेडिशनल होता है, जैसे हमारे तरफ जो पूजा वगैरह होता है, लाइक हम छठ पूजा को ले ले, तो जो लोग बाहर रहते हैं उनको ये सब चीजें नहीं मुहैया हो पाती है। तो अगर
Right.
हम इसको बहुत अच्छे तरीके से प्रेजेंट करें वहाँ के आर्ट फॉर्म के साथ मर्ज करके, तो ये काफी अच्छा प्रोडक्ट निकल के आएगा। और ना सिर्फ बिहार में, अगर
बिल्कुल
हम
बिल्कुल कर
आगे भी
सकते हैं आप।
इसको
सो इसके लिए मेन यही है कि आपको कुछ सेगमेंट्स ऑफ कस्टमर्स, और मे बी टू स्टार्ट विद एटलीस्ट वन सेगमेंट ऑफ कस्टमर आपको आइडेंटिफाई करके आगे बढ़ना चाहिए। जैसे आपने बोला, एक तो इंटीरियर डिजाइनर्स हो सकते हैं, या फिर
हाँ।
जो छठ पूजा के टाइम पे पूजा का सामान बेचते हैं वैसे। बट एक सेगमेंट लेके आप स्टार्ट कर सकते हो। अगेन दोनों चीज़ों में अलग अलग यूजेबिलिटी और प्रोडक्ट्स भी में भी अलग अलग होंगे।
हाँ जी।
सो उनसे आप रीच आउट कर सकते हैं। देन यू कैन प्रोबेबली ट्राई एंड डिस्कस विद देम कि इस तरह के प्रोडक्ट्स अगर अवेलेबल हैं तो आप इनको कहाँ पे इंटीरियर्स में यूज कर सकते हैं। गेट सम फीडबैक, एंड ऑल्सो if there's a specific sector of people or some particular geographic region जहाँ पे उसकी probability ज़्यादा है यूज होने की, जहाँ पे लोगों का इंटीरियर्स में उस तरह का इंटरेस्ट ज़्यादा होता है, वहाँ से आप स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं। सो आपको थोड़ा सा, आई मीन स्टार्टिंग में एटलीस्ट फोकस होके चलना पड़ता है कि where can this be deployed quickly and who are the people who would be most interested. Right. So once you identify all these things, again, like you pose a question, are we ready? So this is a question everybody should put before actually embarking on the product development journey. तो आप भले ही कोई ऐप बना रहे हैं या कोई टेक्निकल प्रोडक्ट बना रहे हैं, आपको एक अपने लेवल पे होमवर्क करके रखना है दैट ओके, दिस इज वी हैव डन, वी हैव टॉक्ड टू कस्टमर्स, we have got a feedback, this is a need which exists in market, and now I should actually begin creating my product. So, and this is a very important exercise. If you are able to at least meet 25 to 100 people and strangers who who are your customers, and mostly discuss about the problem and come to your solution at the end, or maybe not even talk about your solution as of now. So you'll get a honest feedback, right? Now we come to product management life cycle, and this kind of matches to the previous slide that we were discussing. So आपका initial proposition create होने के बाद, so innovation phase, and then you kind of validate market needs. Once you validate the market need, then you start charting. तब आपको उस stage पे you have to do a homework. What all resources would you actually need for it, right? So now you have to do a homework that okay, my idea is good, I'm going to start with this, but what all do I need to actually take it to market? अब इसमें बहुत सारी चीजें आती हैं। एक तो आपके resources आते हैं जो आपको चाहिए होंगे to build the prototype or even an app. Is there any regulatory requirement, any licensing that you need for it, or any quality certification that you need? आपको आपकी टीम में किस तरह के लोग चाहिए होंगे? So while these things keep on evolving, but it's always good before you actually begin developing a product, you actually think about all these things and then you start developing, so that at least you have a clear path in your mind that okay, this is what I would like to eventually build. उसके बाद आप अपना डेवलपमेंट फेज स्टार्ट करते हैं. आपका सोल्यूशन जब बन जाएगा तो आप उसको डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन करेंगे कि रिक्वायरमेंट्स मीट हो रही हैं या नहीं हो रही हैं. सो यू बिल्ड द सोल्यूशन देन एंड देन यू काइंड ऑफ वैलिडेट, और ना जिससे आप मिनिमम वायबल प्रोटोटाइप प्रोडक्ट को वैलिडेट करेंगे कस्टमर्स के साथ कि ओके कस्टमर को ये यूज़ करके उनका रिक्वायरमेंट मीट हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा है, उनका फीडबैक कैसा है यूज़र इंटरफेस को लेके. And then you actually prepare for a big launch with a final product once you get this feedback with your MVP. And then again, after launch also you have to track performance issues and all those things. And so this is how overall product management life cycle would work. Now, academics mein jab hum baat karte hain, I'm not sure how many of you are actually doing research in your institutions. So then translating research is done in two major ways. So one is, I mean, at a lot of times it happens that okay, if you're doing a PhD or if you're in a master's thesis and all, a lot of time people choose problems based on the area of interest the lab is working in, right? So अभी मेरी लैब में फॉर एग्जांपल प्रोटियोमिक्स पे रिसर्च हो रहा है या 3 या 5G या IoT पे रिसर्च हो रहा है. सो आई विल ट्राई टू कम अप विद सम यूज केस कि यहाँ पे मैं एक IoT डिवाइस बना सकता हूँ, यहाँ पे मैं प्रोटियोमिक्स यूज कर सकता हूँ, एंड देन आई कैन कम अप विद समथिंग. So it happens a lot like that. So in academics, you go through a phase where you have to do some basic research, and a lot of people actually keep on doing basic research and don't translate it directly. But the results obviously are important to people who are doing translational research. People who are actually doing applied research or translational research, they kind of come up with new products or inventions and then obviously file patents for it. Now you can do two things out of these patents. You can either create a spin-off or a startup if you yourself want to take it forward, या फिर आप अपनी टेक्नोलॉजी existing players को लीज आउट कर सकते हैं जो मार्केट में इंडस्ट्री है ऑलरेडी, in case they are interested in the product that you have developed. So they can take it up and they can actually commercialize it. So both ways, whatever you have invented, that will help in generating economic and social value. But these are two different models. So at one place, you lease out the technology and you will continue doing more and more research, maybe come up with many more other technologies which you can lease out to other industries or same. And the other side is create a spin-off where you'll have to at least give some dedicated time to put at least one product in market and then embark on developing more and more products or maybe future versions of the same product. So when we understand this, so one is most importantly that your idea validation. So idea validation ke baad you have to come to actually building the product. Now इसमें technology readiness levels के कुछ definitions होते हैं. How many of you are already aware of TRL levels? Most of you are aware about TRL levels. If maybe I can just get a nod from one or two people, or I can skip it if not required.
Yeah, a little bit for me because I went through this slide before.
Okay, great. So when you start developing a product, you have to. So product development is broken into technology readiness levels based on how far it is from actual deployment, right? So while I'll not go too much into detail, but when you start doing a startup, at what stage you should do if you're actually commercializing a technology that you're developing in lab. If you're identifying a problem first and then going on to develop, basically you start from TRL 1, right? That you have a basic idea, you develop a concept around it, you experiment a proof of concept, then probably you'll reach to a lab demonstration stage. And this is also important from the funding perspective, at what stages you can get what kind of funding. So at different TRL stages, there are different kind of funding programs available. At different TRL levels, there are different type of support available from the government, and at what stage you actually start reaching out to customers. So it's divided into 9 TRLs, and most of the support that you will get will be between TRL 3 to 6, and then you'll have to probably reach out to private investors and other people to kind of help with improvements. So this is basically interest of industrial teamwork. Yeah. So again, I will not go too much into detail, but then the tech development part, once you've done the basic research in academy or government labs, uh, getting the right kind of resources at the level of converting it into a product is very challenging, which is generally not taken care by investors and not taken care by academia. So there's a lot of support which is available now, at least. And in terms of developing a product, there are certain specific challenging TRL levels, because obviously your initial up to TRL2 is more of like a theoretical understanding of it. Third could be starting an experimental proof of concept. Level 4, 5, 6 are where you actually validate and demonstrate this technology. So in terms of validating and demonstrating these technologies, these are the stages which are most crucial even when you're trying to do a startup. So that's where we can focus a bit now. And many of you might be aware about the business model canvas. This is also very important if you uh, want to do a startup. And this also can be done as a homework before you actually begin embarking on your entrepreneurship journey, while validating your idea, what all you will need. But this is obviously evolving thing. So this keeps on changing as and when you kind of evolve, and as and when you meet more and more customers, investors, and other people. Now I'll talk a bit more about some of the support initiatives, and then we'll go back to some of the important aspects that you should consider while doing homework. So there's a lot of support from multiple government initiatives these days for startups, and as we're here, also part of the National Innovation and Startup Policy, Institute Innovation Councils and all have been created. So even for students and faculty, there's a lot of push from the institute and ministry side also to actually look into entrepreneurship and more on the side of commercializing technologies that you're developing in your labs, right? And then we have a lot of funding programs, like we're talking about ideation and immersion stages. So I'll just give you a highlight about programs like Spursh, and because we're also talking about idea validation now. So programs like Spursh kind of understands that you need to actually go to the site or go to the market and understand the challenges where. So in Spursh, what we do is we give a fellowship to students, a 50,000 rupee per month fellowship, and we just ask them to go out for 6 months in relevant areas of their interests, be it waste management or maternal child health or healthcare, environment, or maybe mitigating pollution. So accordingly, they'll keep on visiting multiple sites in the first 6 months, and then they'll have to, based on their interactions with potential customers and all, they have to submit 3 problem statements. And with these 3 problem statements, then after detailed discussions about all three with the innovators, then we kind of identify one problem statement which they should go ahead with, and then support is provided to them in terms of developing it further, right? So likewise, there are multiple such initiatives at an early stage. So we also do one program with Samsung which is called Solve for Tomorrow, and this is more about submitting your ideas, and then you go through like a 3 to 4 month training program. Also, I'm not talking too much about this, but this is just to give you an idea that at every stage you will be able to find some support for yourself, either in terms of validating your idea or validating your products that you're going to develop. So product validation is also an important aspect. So there are such programs like BIRAC BIG, or IDEX from DIO, or TIDE program from METI, and then multiple other Startup India Seed Fund scheme, for example, that will help you in terms of developing the product, and also to validating it at an early stage. And then you can move to pilot scale where you have other fundings and all that. So again, like I won't go too much into funding programs, but I'll tell you programs like BIG are currently open right now, and then there are a lot of other support initiatives that are available. So in terms of funding, as long as you have a very good idea, you will not face challenges. But let's come to more again, like the way we were discussing in terms of idea validation and the homework that we need to do to clearly chart out and also in terms of presenting your idea to other people. So we were discussing about the problem statement, and I initially mentioned that we need to have some conversations with strangers maybe to identify the right problem statement. So again, at many stages, customers do not tell you directly that, okay, this is a problem that we are facing. You might need to analyze their needs. And while you've done that and you have come up with some solution that you're trying to build, but it's also understand to get into the roots of that problem, and maybe then we can come up with a better solution. Now, in terms of defining the problem, these are the kind of questions that you need to ask. So uh, there are five W's: what, why, where, who, when, and then one H, and then the steps, right? So how many of you have actually done all this exercise as of now? Anyone would like to share? I mean, I got two people who shared early on when we started the conversation.
Hello,
Yes,
I'm audible there, sir.
yes, you're audible. Yeah.
So, in order to gain more knowledge upon this concept of product development, I want to ask a question from you.
Hmm.
I mean, go ahead, sir. The question is there that many of the products are there which are developed in foreign countries like Japan and Malaysia, Singapore. Such kind of countries are epicenter of certain products there.
Hmm.
And whenever entrepreneurship comes in our mind, particularly in India, we lack in product development. Maybe because of this one that we don't have, I mean, any such kind of program is not sponsored particularly by government. As much I am informed about it, in order to gain more exposure or in order to get more knowledge from certain countries like Russia is there, Japan is there, and Malaysia is there. Do we have such kind of program in order to develop our product? I mean, can we go abroad or any such kind of sponsored programs are there that we want to get more information that how our product is working there? So, is there any particular thing there that we can make out there and figure out in order to develop our product?
So there are two
Hello? Yeah.
aspects. Yeah. So there are two aspects of this. One is
Yes.
that
Yeah.
you're trying to develop proper product, and a similar kind of a product is available somewhere else, and you want to try and see how it works
Definitely,
there, and
definitely. Yeah,
then you want to
yeah,
replicate it, right?
yeah,
That's one
yeah.
approach. The other is that, I mean, no such product exists, but you want to test other markets also before starting.
In fact, I can quote an example also that pharmacy industry, particularly this one, NetMeds and Pharmacy, such kind of company, what they have done, same kind of model. There was like e-commerce model, same kind of model was already exist in America at that time. But they guys have done there. They have centered particularly networking is there, so they decided to go abroad particularly, and they started calculating more information that how the product is working there. And just after coming out from abroad, I mean, they started doing the same thing in metropolitans, particularly like Delhi, Bangalore, and they started a kind of pilot program they launched there that how we can sell product online, particularly medicines. So such kind of concepts we do have. If we, I mean, I do have also a certain thing in mind, so, but I have to check it out first of all. I have to figure it out, particularly that how the product is working in foreign countries because it's already existed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we can generally do in this case, so again, like it depends on the kind of resources that you have. And it's true that in many such cases, I mean, even if you see the likes of Flipkart and many other companies in India, the entrepreneurs were not fresh entrepreneurs in college. These were people who actually worked with industry for some time, understood some processes in the industry, understood the nitty-gritties of supply chain and all, and then from there they identified that okay, similar things could be replicated in India also, right? So this has happened. But again, as an early stage entrepreneur, getting those kind of resources just to go out and explore those markets, for an entrepreneur, there are not many such opportunities available in India as of now. The other way is that you can go out as a student during your studies and all, and then you identify certain problems there, and then, or maybe you identify certain products there, and then come back and replicate them here. So that's one thing. The other way is actually to uh, have, so once you identify that okay, I want to work in this area, you can actually talk to certain experts who can give you some hands-on experience or idea about how these things are working in other countries. And obviously market reports and all are available to an extent that you can get an idea how the company grew over the year-on-year sales revenue and all that. Those things could be kind of looked into with some market reports. So as of now, Indian government is not having many such programs where an idea stage entrepreneur can go out. Obviously, once you have developed a product and your product is relevant for international markets, at such stage we do have multiple such initiatives where people are actually going to different countries and trying to explore such markets. Uh, Only in one case, I think Ministry of Education had, so they had conducted this hackathon, and for the winners of those hackathon who had submitted their ideas, they had done a immersion program with the Canadian government. So some of these people went to Canada for I think a week or a 15-day long immersion. So there are such initiatives, but these are rare. I mean, there are not too many initiatives at a very early stage. So only thing you can do is to like just identify. And also, I mean, I would rather suggest is to look at problems inside out. So we do not need to replicate everything that works in a developed country. Now, and also this happens because the economic condition, the conditions people are living in, the mindset, many things vary a lot. I mean, we have had much more at times innovative solutions, but foreign countries are not doing that. So, for example, UPI, if you see a case of UPI as of now, while in India we can make even a 1 rupee, 2 rupee transaction. Uh, if you go to Europe, you'll still have to make those transactions in cash, and only after a certain threshold you can actually start using your cards and other things. But people are comfortable with that. Nobody started facing such a problem, and they're comparatively okay with it. But eventually, such things will come up, right? So it also depends at what stage, what kind of market is facing such a challenge, and given that India represents a very big market. In fact, in terms of population, we've like kind of surpassed all other countries in the world now, and there are so many challenges to solve within India that we can start looking at problems within. In fact, most of the foreign companies are now trying to come to India, and given that we also have some international exchanges and we keep on hosting foreign delegations regularly. We've also visited, our team has also visited our places. So, given that our experience, in fact, in most of the cases, foreign companies are actually trying to come to India rather than many more Indian companies trying to go abroad, at least at the stages of startups, because India represents a very big market. So, that's where you need to think clearly that the challenge that you're solving, how relevant it is for Indian market. You can obviously kind of see through news reports and many other things how the thing is working there, but exactly this exact replica may or may not work in India. So again, this kind of exercise will still be required. All right. Anyone else want to discuss here, or should we go ahead?
Hello, sir. Good morning. I am Lata from Himachal
Good morning, Lata.
Pradesh.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. मैंने sir and
Sorry, I lost your voice. Can you hear me?
लता आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही। हाँ
हैं और मतलब हेलो मैम, मैं अनुष्का मैम।
हाँ
आ रही है
लता
मैम?
अब आप बोलिए। हाँ
ओके मैम। यस सर, तो मैंने सर एनिमल ट्रैकर के बारे में बनाने के लिए सोचा है,
हम्म,
क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ हिमाचल में काफ़ी ज़्यादा जो है एनिमल्स मतलब जंगल में मतलब चरने के लिए जाते हैं, तो मतलब जंगल में ढूंढना उनको मुश्किल हो जाता है। तो इस
yes,
रिगार्डिंग सर मैं आपसे सजेशन लेना चाहूँगी।
definitely. So this is a good problem to solve. Now, इस केस में आपको and obviously and many people who are actually grazing animals and all, they'll give you a feedback that इसकी जरूरत है। अब आपको इस केस में देखना पड़ता है कि और कौन कौन सी कंपनीज हैं जो इस तरह की चीजें ऑलरेडी बना रही हैं। सो जैसे अभी आप देखते हो कि देर आर मल्टीपल बीकन काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स दैट आर अवेलेबल टू ट्रैक थिंग्स। उसको एनिमल स्पेसिफिक बनाने के लिए भी कुछ कंपनीज हैं इंडिया में जो काम कर रहे हैं, कुछ स्टार्टअप्स भी हैं। तो ऑब्वियसली all of them might not have reached to the region that you are currently in, and this is a good problem to solve, and even multiple companies can exist if such solutions are made by multiple companies. But in this case the homework that you will need to do is, one is आप कौन सी टेक्नोलॉजीज में यूज करोगे? आर यू गोइंग टू यूज अ जीपीएस बेस्ड टेक्नोलॉजी, और आर यू गोइंग टू यूज अ रेडियो कम्युनिकेशन बेस्ड टेक्नोलॉजी एंड ऑल दैट? और आपके दूसरे कॉम्पिटिटर्स ने क्या किया है अभी तक, एंड जो उन्होंने किया उसमें क्या शॉर्टफॉल्स हैं या क्या बेनिफिट्स हैं? So you can start with that and then you can try and build a solution around this. But it is a good problem to solve. Yeah.
ओके सर, थैंक यू सर।
On a same note, sir,
Yeah.
how do we find out the existing products are available in the market? Definitely Google is there, but still, is there any specific platform or the way we can find out?
Right. So there are multiple things. One is obviously Google search पे आपको काफी कुछ मिल जाएगा in case any. But at times खासकर startups की फील्ड में जब तक प्रोडक्ट मार्केट में नहीं आता है तब तक कई बार उसके बारे में ज़्यादा इन्फॉर्मेशन अवेलेबल नहीं होती है ओपन डोमेन में। सो इफ सच अ प्रोडक्ट इज अवेलेबल इन द मार्केट ऑलरेडी, आप गूगल सर्च करके इजीली उसको फाइंड आउट कर पाएंगे। बट ये फाइंड आउट करना कि कितने स्टार्टअप कंपनीज इस पे काम कर रहे हैं वो आपको इजीली नहीं मिलेगा। उसके लिए आप कुछ चीज़ें सर्च कर सकते हो, जैसे MHRD या बायरैक, दे पुट देयर कंपेंडियम ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजीज या स्टार्टअप्स। जैसे बायरैक अपने स्टार्टअप्स के प्रोडक्ट के बारे में कुछ बुकलेट्स निकालते हैं कि क्या क्या कौन से स्टार्टअप किस चीज़ पे काम करें। वो भी ऑलरेडी दे आर टू एन एक्सटेंट build prototypes at least, if not actual products in the market. And the other way is actually to attend a lot of events wherever you can, जहाँ पे आपको थोड़ा सा आइडिया लग जाएगा, and then more relevant events. For example, if your solutions about agriculture, there are multiple events in India that might target agri-based innovations. There are events specific to e-mobility. There are events specific to drones. There are events specific to healthcare. तो या फिनटेक स्पेसिफिक इवेंट्स पे होते हैं, तो वहाँ जाके आप कुछ कुछ आइडिया ले सकते हैं. आई मीन लॉट ऑफ स्टार्टअप्स डेमोन्स्ट्रेट एंड ऑल दैट व्हाट काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स आर ऑलरेडी गोइंग ऑन. So Google will can only tell you some. Going through the websites and lists of startups given by agencies that have supported them is one. And the third way is actually to keep on talking to investors also. So generally, investors also keep on seeing a lot of pitch decks, and likewise we also, because for example, we go through a lot of applications and presentations in all our programs yearly. So on an average, I think our team would be looking at something between 300 to 800 presentations or applications in a year. So you can even talk to incubators around this. So at least we can give you some idea that whether we have seen such a solution earlier or not, or in which direction you should think further. So that's also something which a startup incubator can help you with.
सर हेलो
Yes.
जी सर, जैसे हम किसी प्रोडक्ट को पेटेंट करते हैं तो क्या वैसे हम अपने बिजनेस आइडिया को भी पेटेंट करवा सकते हैं क्या?
सी आइडिया स्टेज पे एक्चुअली पेटेंट नहीं होता है. आइडिया स्टेज पे आपका एक प्रोविजनल पेटेंट फाइल हो सकता है, बट प्रोविजनल पेटेंट की एक ड्यूरेशन होती है। तो प्रोविजनल पेटेंट को फाइल करने के 1 साल के अंदर आपको उसके स्पेसिफिकेशंस के साथ पूरे प्रोडक्ट का पेटेंट फाइल करना पड़ेगा। तो अगर आप श्योर हैं कि 1 साल के अंदर अंदर आप इसको बना लेंगे, तो आप आइडिया स्टेज पे उसको प्रोविजनल पेटेंट फाइल करा सकते हैं विद अ टेंटेटिव डिजाइन एंड ऑल, एंड व्हेन इट्स रेडी तब आप उसको कंप्लीट स्पेसिफिकेशन पेटेंट करा सकते हैं।
Particular charges what are involved in the whole process? Do you have any guess upon it? Or
राइट,
whatever
सो
I
प्रोविजनल
covered so
पेटेंट प्रोविजनल पेटेंट करवाने में आपका मतलब क्योंकि उस टाइम पे आपका बेसिकली एक प्रायर आर्ट सर्च ही होता है, बहुत ज़्यादा आपका प्रोडक्ट डिटेल्स वगैरह तो अवेलेबल नहीं होंगे, सो उसका एक छोटा सा ड्राफ्ट ही बनेगा। सो इट कुड बी सम डन बिटवीन समथिंग लाइक 10 to 20-25,000, एंड अगर आपका रजिस्टर्ड कंपनी है ऑलरेडी, so in Startup India you can actually leverage the benefits of DPIIT registration। तो उसमें आपके कई सारे statutory dues वगैरह कम हो जाते हैं, so you can file your patents for very less cost। And then full
Okay.
specification का आप करते हो तो again it depends on how much market research is required, how detailed drafting is required, how broadly you're able to protect it। So based on that, the attorneys will charge you. But उसमें भी I think tentatively, if you're just filing it in India, the cost will be less than ₹1 lakh only, including the attorney fee and all। And I'm also selling it on a higher side only. Generally, उससे कम ही होगा। And if you get Startup India benefits, then you will actually be able to do it for much less।
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any more point to discuss here?
Sir, hi, sir. This is Aruna. Am I
Yes, sir.
audible?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, basically, I've started the partnership firm in 2012, sir.
Mhm.
And due to the, unfavored circumstances, Corona and everything, we have not taken this business very well in last couple of years, sir.
Okay.
So now there is a new concept we have. I have an idea of. So should I be continuing with the same thing because the partnership is registered for HR training and services earlier, and this concept is for the early interventions. So should it be like a deviation or sister, company, or would you
See,
mind?
there are two things. One is that when you register a company,
Yes, sir.
you have to define certain things in your MOA की कंपनी क्या क्या करेगी।
हाँ
तो
जी,
अगर उसमें ऑलरेडी डिफाइंड है तो आप कर सकते हैं, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। लेकिन जो दूसरी चीज़ है, क्योंकि आप प्रोप्राइटरीशिप या पार्टनरशिप फर्म रजिस्टर करते हैं, तो
हाँ
उसमें
जी।
आप इन्वेस्टमेंट्स रेज नहीं कर पाओगे। तो अगर
Okay,
आपको आगे चल के प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टमेंट रेज करनी है तो उसके लिए आपको प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी की ही ज़रूरत होगी। तो
okay,
it's better to register a private limited company so
okay,
that you're
okay,
able
sir.
to leverage a lot of funding programs, you're able to reach out to investors also। क्योंकि
Right, sir.
पार्टनरशिप फर्म्स या प्रोप्राइटरीशिप फर्म्स जो इवन गवर्नमेंट के फंडिंग प्रोग्राम्स हैं स्टार्टअप्स के लिए, उनके लिए भी
Mm-hmm.
एलिजिबल नहीं होते हैं मोस्टली।
Right, sir. Sir, and I would like to understand about sensory parks. Are there any existing things? Because in Google they say partially they have. My concept is entirely related to the early interventions, like early kids, because nowadays we are facing a lot of autism issues, and
Yeah,
all the stress levels are high for the parents, and due
right,
to
right।
all this.
There are some things going on here। I think उसके लिए we can connect offline and discuss in detail। I'll let you know।
Right, sir. Right, sir. Okay, sir.
Sure।
May I take down your contact details?
Yeah, I'll share it. I'll share it in the chat
I
box after.
appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Right. So let's move a little forward. So these are the kind of questions that you need to ask all the customers, all your potential customers, whom as of now you feel are your customers. So who faces the problem? When is the problem faced? And if is there any particular circumstance where under which the problem is being faced? How are people currently mitigating it? And So once you're clear with all this, then you will be able to define the problem in a better way. So all this is basically a customer discovery exercise. And again, similar things. Once you're done with this, then you start kind of asking people for support and fund and all that. So this is how you share your vision. You have to highlight, one is obviously the market side of it, that okay, so many people are facing, and we've done the customer discovery part, we've done all that, and this is the novel part of our proposition. So again, even if it's a problem and people are facing a challenge, but if you're coming with a solution which either exists or it is very easy to make, that kind of hampers the support generation capability for this. So you have to very clearly highlight if there's some technical novelty or differentiation, and the kind of value proposition it will bring to the customers. Now, I've just highlighted some key advantages that you can mention, like better solution offered, or if it's an import substitute, or it's cost effective, or if it's easy to use for people, or ease of reach in terms of it can reach to people who otherwise are not able to access those kind of solutions. So these are certain points, and at times it could be a solution where nothing is available. So you need to clearly put these points, that what you're doing better than others and how your product will be better. Uh, we were discussing about IPR strategy also becomes part of the homework before we actually start embarking on our entrepreneurial journeys. So we also discussed like, okay, we're going to build this product. Now I'll just quickly cross check what can I protect in this. Is it a process that I can protect, or is it the product that I can file an IPR for, or is it just the final design? Uh, at times, I mean, if it's a software product, it could be just a copyright of your algorithm or the source code. In case none of these is protected, you can protect a brand value that you can create. So there could be a trademark or a registration. So at different stages, you have to kind of build up an IPR strategy, that okay, so in certain cases, while it's not a very difficult product to make, anybody else can make, you can actually get a first mover advantage in the market. You put a solution which people were not really thinking about, but can be easily made by others, and you create a brand value in the market, and based on that you can actually trademark your brand and kind of keep yourself protected. Now, so whenever you reach out to people for support, these are the kind of things you need to mention. And in case in university settings, if some research is already done and if the technology is patented, so you'll have to get it licensed from the universities. These are the things you have to consider. uh, and if they're willing to give you an exclusive license or a non-exclusive 10-year based license, how it's going to come your way. So this will also help you to make a strategy for the product, right? Then it's about FTO analysis. So FTO is more in terms of freedom to operate. So this will basically ensure that you're not actually infringing on somebody else's patent. तो कभी कभी ऐसे भी होता है कि किसी और ने पेटेंट कर रखे हैं, we are developing a similar product, and through this we are actually infringing on somebody else's patent. It's very important at an early stage to develop a relevant team, and this too keeps on evolving, but at least within the founding team members. So for example, in private limited companies, you need 2 members as initial directors, but you can have more team members, also multiple directors and team members. So do all the team members have the required expertise? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, sure. So it's very important to build a good team, and also the team should be having complementary skill sets. So if I'm good at technology and my co-founder is good at business, that's a very, very general example, but there might be other cases also. Like if I'm making a medical device, I need somebody who's a biologist or a clinician or a doctor. I also need an engineer to make the device. So do we have those kind of skill sets? And eventually everything will not be possible to have in the founding team, but then you plan to hire people who can actually complement skill sets and complete the product development. Also, it's always good to have technical and business advisors with you. because if you're coming to present for a grant or if you're coming to an investor, having these people who can defend along with you will be very useful. And given their expertise and experience, at times they can help you defend your case. And also, whenever you're projecting your team to others, you also have to highlight how these team members can help you in this project. So you also have to come up with a business model. And again, all this comes as a homework only. And while we think, okay, we just identify a problem and start building something, but if you have not done all this exercise before you start building, a lot of times that effort goes into waste, right? So you also need to identify early on who will be your potential partners, who could be your supply chain partners, where will you get the raw material from, who could be your distributors. If you want to go for a contract manufacturing, are there any people who are available around you? So this all makes your job a little easier when you actually do it. And not that I'm suggesting all of it will be like written in stone. Even if you identify one partner now, later on, if you feel you want to change the partner, that is possible. But at least having these ideas, this will give you a broader sense of the market when you start working around this, that what will come up when you actually are into it. What could be the cost structure of the product? So how much cost you're actually going to incur in terms of building the product. Now, it's not just about the bill of material. Bill of materials is one part, and people generally just put the consumable costs here. But it's not just the consumable cost; it's cost of everything that you spend on building the product. So it could be your electricity bill, water bill, security bill, rentals, your manpower costs, whatever raw material you're purchasing, or if you're purchasing a server or a website, how much cost is there to maintain. So generally, what you should do is, maybe if you make a monthly assessment, how much in a month you'll spend in all, including all your expenditures, and how many units are you able to produce in a month. So that can give you a ballpark idea of, like, this is my cost per unit. And then accordingly, you come up with the selling price, which should have a reasonable margin also. So, I mean, a lot of early stage entrepreneurs come to us and they say, okay, we'll build it for 500 rupees. We'll sell it for 600, 650 rupees. Now, that's only possible if it's a mass market, but we generally do not suggest it. If you see in the market, whatever things you use, that's a margin of almost double or triple. Also because there are taxes, also because there are multiple distribution channels involved. So you're not going to sell it directly to customers at times. There are uh, wholesale partners, retail partners if it's a product, or there can be other distribution channels. So that those all costs will be there. And then obviously you need to put in some factor of profit so that you can do further R&D and improve the product or make new products. And your revenue streams in terms of whether it's a business to business sales, or if it's a business to customer or business to government. And what would be your revenue stream? Would it be like a sales model directly selling goods, or is it a subscription or a service based model? So at times it could be a product based service also, that you provide a product but you don't sell it, you lease it out, and it could work like a service. And many similar things are possible. You need to understand the competitive landscape well. Now, many people do mistakes when understanding the competitive landscape. So there are multiple kind of things here. One is, obviously, we look at the problem in a broader sense, and we try and compare ourselves only with people who are trying to solve the exact problem. But overall, so I've just kept this as like a example slide, while this is very generic. But for example, this is about just sorry. Yeah. So this is a generic slide. For example, I'm hungry and I just want to kind of have something to quickly to fulfill myself in terms of my hunger. So there are multiple ways to do it. So currently it's possible that I can actually go out to a grocery store, buy grocery, start preparation, cook my dishes, and then, so that is not an instant solution, but that's generally a way where we kind of do on a day-to-day basis, right? but it's less convenient. It takes a longer time because you have to get the grocery and then you actually cook it and all that. Now, now we have like on-demand groceries also. So you have Instamart and Big Basket and all that, that can provide you grocery at your doorstep, but still you'll need to cook it, right? So that's one way. The other way is you actually just go out to eat. So that in that case, the effort will be in terms of going out, but not cooking. So that will again still will take some time, but that's a different kind of a challenge. And then in terms of ready to eat foods, so you just order and maybe in half an hour or so you'll get it on your doorstep. So your efforts in terms of either going out or in terms of cooking, everything is mitigated. And if you see the topmost right, at some point of time, you might actually just have pills available that can work as meal replacements. So if you're hungry, just pop in a pill that you can carry in your pocket and you'll be able to satisfy your hunger. So so competition works on multiple levels. So as you see, like everywhere there's competition within the segment also, and then it's competing with uh, the larger spectrum also. So that's how you need to think about your competition when you start working on it. You clearly kind of define your milestones. So what are the stages I'll go through, how much time I'll take to develop this. Again, things are tentative and you'll face a lot of obstacles and all in between, but at least having a tentative idea to begin with will be very helpful. Also, in terms of funding, and also you should be aware like what would be the right funding platforms for this. So you reach out to right people, not reaching out everywhere where people even don't fund such things. So identifying those things are important. You have to describe what can be achieved in that duration. You have to break up into smaller objectives. And for example, if it's a 2 year thing, but you can break it up into smaller things. So maybe in the 2 years I want to achieve this, but maybe in the first 3 months I'll be able to reach to this stage and accordingly. And wherever possible, try to make a prototype that can go to customers as early as possible. So if you see the schematic, it's a general schematic that I've taken for you from the internet. If you see on the top, you build a product where the product can only be in a usable form when it's complete, right? But at that stage, if you get a feedback, you will not be able to kind of work around it very easily. While on the other hand, if you build a prototype that can go to customers as early as possible for them to give their feedback, they'll give you relevant feedback. And when you're actually ready with the product, it'll be much more acceptable in the market. So if we talk about mobility, okay, we know that we need wheels and we need a platform and all that, and then build a car. But on the other hand, even when we have something like a mobility thing, so that's how you understand the customer. So you have to solve the problem of mobility, but it can be solved with basic versions of the prototype also before you reach to the actual product. You also need to work around understanding the risk factors and regulations. In case you need ethical approvals, in case you need certifications, what all are those? And these will help you to plan your timelines in a better way. And again, like roadmap, you can define for yourself. So this is more about it. I'll just so there are certain challenges in terms of funding, in terms of where you manufacture it, in terms of compliances. You'll need to go to regulatory authorities in terms of sales models and distribution and warehousing. And that's where, for many of these things, your incubators can actually help you out wherever you are. So even if at an idea stage, mentoring for idea validation or customer discovery, helping with immersions at industries or other places, business plan creation, guidance for funding, and what kind of relevant funding opportunities are for you. And then at time of product development, they'll help you for technical mentors, facilities, and all that. So based on the stages, wherever you are incubating, your incubators can try and help you out for these things. So be open and discuss this with them and reach out to them frequently. Also, you should attend a lot of workshops and training programs specifically relevant to you so that you're aware about more and more relevant opportunities and certain guidelines. Also, tech transfer offices can help you understand in terms of industry mapping and all. This comes more of when the product is ready, but at an early stage, So this is just a quick thing about the journey of FIDT. We've supported about 170 startups on campus physically and a lot more than that. And we've been reasonably successful now. A lot of startups are doing very well. I'll just give some glimpse just as a motivation to you guys that even from academia you can begin. So on the right side, Dr. Jagdish is having a startup called Fruvatech. Fruvatech has developed a organic solution. It's kind of a gel-based thing, a diffuser which you can keep along with the storage boxes in the storage boxes of fruits and vegetables, and the fruits and vegetable ripening is delayed. So in case my whatever apples, oranges, bananas I'm keeping, and they're getting spoiled in 5 days, with this solution they might even survive for 15 plus days. And it's important more in terms of transportation and storage, more than even home use. Aquasense had come up with like a groundwater monitoring along with many other features. There are certain other startups. Clenster recently, like they raised 75 crores in funding and also onboarded Parneeti Chopra as their brand ambassador. This is a company that started here as making waterless body bath and waterless shampoos. And what they do is they make like spray kind of things which you can spray on your body, and the powder that you can spray on your hair and just wipe it off, and you're done bathing. So you don't need to take bath. You'll feel as fresh as you've done taking a bath. And then now they have multiple other products in the market. Accure is again by one PhD student who was into polymer science departments. They have made copper infused polymers. Now most of us in India know that using copper containers provide an antimicrobial capability and you can store things for longer, but also because copper leaches in them. So the copper content in the water can actually increase, which is also toxic in case beyond an extent. So they came up with this polymer where the antimicrobial property will be there, but you can store for longer without worrying about copper leaching. Sanfi came up with feminine hygiene products. Flex Motive, for example, came up with this crutch where the base of the crutch mimics your foot. So if you see the base of this crutch, it's like a so when you put it down, it absorbs some shock, and then when you try and move forward, it helps you give some push. Rig Nanosystems developed a true HB hemoglobin meter. This is used at multiple diagnostic labs, can be used by people who are having anemia at home also. So it's a device which is having a test strip. You just prick your finger with the device that's given along with it and put a drop of blood. It'll instantly give you your own hemoglobin content. So the startup is doing really well. They have, in fact, I mean, they are doing 100 plus crores of business every year now. NanoClean had come up with nasal filters. So from the right side, if you see on the image, the girl is wearing a nose filter on her nose. So instead of wearing complete masks to remove pollution, you can actually wear those. And these were developed before COVID, primarily to tackle pollution. And during COVID, with the same technology, the startup was able to develop face masks. This was another startup from textile technology. And we have multiple. So this was another faculty student startup who started making waterless urinals first, and then multiple other eco-friendly products. And many such products are being launched. Some good success stories again are like BotLab Dynamics. This is a startup that is doing drone shows. If any of you have attended the G20 event recently or the Republic Day drone show, so this is a startup that we incubated with us from Ideally founders, and like doing really well these days. There are multiple other companies. Siren, for example, got the Raksha Mantri, but they are a defense startup. Critical, Mikats, and many more. So with that, I would just like to thank you. My contact details are here. You can try and reach out to me. And yeah, I'm open to questions and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pastor, for the wonderful session. And in such a short time, you could actually able to convert the entire journey when an idea comes up in the mind, and then how it has to be properly prototype, and then the idea is to be validated, then the innovation is to be validated, and then the entire journey of setting up a startup, you could try to cover it in such a short time. Now I have a question. I mean, if the students have any questions or they have any queries, you can ask Dr. Pastor.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, where will we get the PDF of this session, sir?
I can share it with you, not a problem. I can share it with the coordinator, maybe Dr. Dikshit here, and she can share it with all of you. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, we'll be providing you the recording of this session for your ready reference. So, Aruna, do you have a question? You've raised your hand. Yeah, Ashish, you may ask a question.
Hello, yeah, I'm audible there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sure, audible.
Oh, actually, what I want to know that particularly in the whole concept of this one, I mean, entrepreneurship, I particularly, it's a little bit personal question. Maybe certain entrepreneurs may feel associated with the same thing. It's particularly moralization is very weak, particularly in India scenario. I have seen it that there is not such kind of booster programs or motivation programs are not there, which motivate us. I mean, regularly basis that how you can make a good program there and you can stay motivated. I mean, in this type of system. So motivation, I do believe that it's very important for the entrepreneur journey, and it's lagged behind. It's much problematic there, which I have seen it till now. So anything
So
you can
Ashish,
share?
I would rather kind of disagree with it to an extent because uh, see, also depends on what kind of a thing you're trying to work on. And as of now, in my experience, now we have so many different things and programs and events available. You can actually go and talk to fellow entrepreneurs, understand their journeys, and kind of, and again, there'll be like people who are struggling, and there'll be people who are actually succeeding also. So given the state of the current ecosystem, and given that every institution in fact is coming up with an incubator, I think the support system is there now. And I hope with the support system the kind of motivation should come in, that okay, if I really have a good idea and I've done the basic homework that I told about, if done all the basic homework, people will be willing to listen to you. A lot of times it happens that people come to us without doing all that homework. So what we do and suggest is that you go and try at least do some part of it, and then we'll help you kind of uh, bridge in the gaps. But as an entrepreneur, you're going to create a business and a value for people and for yourself as well. So at some point you'll have to begin. So yeah, I mean, the other thing is in terms of how your institutions can motivate you. So a lot of institutions have actually come up with certain small funding grants and other things also. But believe me, I mean, from the government side and from the private investors, we have so many programs. I mean, we started our incubation program in 1999, and that time there was almost nothing compared to the things that we have today in terms of support, in terms of policies, in terms of ease of filing IPs, in terms of ease of registering companies, in terms of procurements from the government. Although that's still not very easy, but at least easier than before. So things are changing for good. But again, we need to have a good idea and should have done some part of this homework. At that stage, people actually start taking you more seriously. So yeah.
Vineet, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, all of you. Sir, I have to ask that I want to start an incubation and EDP cell in our district. So, what is the procedure and how government should help in this to provide facility to start an incubation and EDP cell in district?
All right. So to start an incubation cell, there are multiple programs also available from the government. So initially, the institute can actually support a few things. Now, whenever you ask government for support, they'll ask you some background again. So the kind of questions that they'll ask you is that how many talks, programs have you done around entrepreneurship? How many interests do you get per year from your students or faculty members, where they come up to you and want to ask you whether they should.
Sorry to interrupt you. That I was working with the MSD Skill Acquisition and Knowledge Awareness for Livelihood
Hmm.
Promotions Project, where we are associated with the district sub-skill committee. But
Yeah.
for the initiation of that particular program, the local authorities were less interested because it takes so much manpower and ideas. So every time I have proposed an incubation and EDP cell, but they show less interest. So I want to clarify that can I directly approach to the MSc or any ministry or NSDC for that?
You can do that. So one is that there are relevant channels, but apart from that also you can reach out to people and they'll direct you to relevant channels. Now, as I was mentioning, there are certain central schemes also if you're like thinking around technology startups. And in terms of these technology startups, for example, DST is having TBI and ITBI initiatives. Atal Incubation Center is an initiative by Niti Aayog's Atal Innovation Mission. BioRec is having a Bionist mission. Then, there's MSME. MSME also helps. Ministry of MSME also helps in setting up uh, incubation centers and some smart city projects. So smart city projects have also set up various incubators and multiple. So as of now, we have like 700 to 800 incubators in the country. That's the last uh, figure I have. Might be more than that now. Yeah.
So, but the main initial problem is that the investment problem, because we have already so much ideas to start a startup, but every time we bring the idea to the authorities, but the main problem is that the finance is not given by any organization or the government
So
support.
Vinitji, I would suggest one thing. So what happens is, see, the first thing that we need for an incubator, more than infrastructure, more than resources and facilities, is a good mentoring team. So if you can make a good mentoring team and start helping some of the startups there, and you can reach out to other incubators and relevant agencies to get these people some support. And as one or two case studies evolve, then people will start listening to you more seriously. So I mean, there are flip sides of the ecosystem. So one is, while there are too many things now, but because of too many things, at times your voice doesn't reach to the right people, and maybe in the not the right manner. So we'll have to kind of build a good case around what we are trying to do, and then reach out to people so that it's taken more seriously.
Okay, so one thing more. How can we raise financial support with the help of private organization, or can we raise the finance from CSR activities too for the incubation or EDP?
Yes, so incubators can get support from CSR. Only thing you'll need to have is, if it's a not-for-profit organization, having a ATG certification available.
Can foundation can also support in this program too?
Yeah, foundations can do that. So I mean, for example, a foundation can apply for ATG if not already having it. The other thing is to get a CSR registration. So on MCA, you also have to register yourself as a CSR service provider. I mean, as a CSR enabler.
Okay, sir.
And once you do that, you
Section
can move.
138 allows these kind of activities to foundation and
Yeah.
NGOs too.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the guidance, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Shivam, you have a question? Anwar?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Anwar, you're not audible.
Am I
Anwar, you're not audible.
Hello.
Yeah. I
Yes,
mean,
Shivam, you have a question?
Yeah, ma'am. Hello, sir.
yes, Shivam.
So the startup idea that I have shared with you. Sir, whom do you think I can reach to and get some more exposure and knowledge about this?
Right. So as I mentioned, you can reach out to any of the incubators, and if it's more about the handloom and products, you can actually, because as you know, there are also like initiatives like ODOP and One District, One Product from the government.
Yeah, yeah.
There's some support under those for similar kind of things, where a product which is primarily made by artisans of those district or is a product which is prominent to that district, so they kind of try and bridge the gap of reaching it to market and all that. So that's where you can do. The other thing is even like any other incubator you can try and reach out to. If you're building an app kind of a thing, they can try and help out. Even we can try and guide you. We don't incubate uh, web platform based companies per se, but we can at least guide you what would be the relevant way to find funding and other. I mean, at least connect to relevant mentors for this.
Okay, sir.
Pushpendra, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank
So
you,
my
sir.
question is related to the purpose of prototype validation. So, is there any factor of social media like Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms so that we can reach our target audience and convert them into the potential customers? So, how we can achieve it? Because I am basically planning to create some content uh, on the topics of stress management and other social issues, and I'm looking to have some target audience landed onto my website.
Sorry, can you just repeat it again? I got distracted in between. Yeah.
Uh, so, sir, my question is related to the prototype validation. As you said, like it's important to understand like, what should be the target audience before reaching directly to the customers as a product or services. So, is can social media basically play a crucial role here to interact with the target audience so that we can convert them into the potential customers? My idea is to basically creating some content on the stress management and mindfulness activities so that we can serve to our customer.
Yes, so I mean, social media is a good enabler there. It's almost like a free marketing channel. So,
Mhm,
as long as it serves your purpose, you can use all kinds of marketing channels. And this one being not very costly per se, it can be used.
yeah.
Uh, Only thing is like depending on how you want to evolve your solution further.
Mhm,
Uh, so that's you'll have to kind of calibrate a strategy, like what all you want to show on social media, and then what should be the paid content.
mhm,
So social media should become like a precursor so that people come to the paid content. But
okay.
if you put all the content on social media, maybe it can help you build a brand initially, but then it'll be more of like a customer acquisition strategy instead of like a revenue strategy right away.
Mhm, mhm. So do I need to sir, look for some advertisement or paid sponsorship via those sites, or initially I can just go on reflecting some information about the website and the content and
So you can do both ways. I mean, that's something which is open and which can be discussed on a case to case basis. Yeah.
Mhm. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Pastor, we have a few questions on text.
Okay.
So Mirali is asking the question that while to transform innovation to startup, which is preferable, outsource manufacturing task or in-house manufacturing? She believes that for long term and short term both, because in the fast moving high tech things changes in less than 6 months.
Right. So Mirali, generally what most of the startups do, and that's what we also suggest is startup should not put too much money into capital asset creation. Now, building a manufacturing plant is a capital asset creation and needs a lot of investment early on. So the suggestion would be that whatever money you're raising from investors or from debt capital from banks or other partners or maybe grant, use it more for creating your branding, marketing, and all that, and some part for moving the raw material and all those things. So I don't suggest early stage companies to go for manufacturing themselves. and put in a manufacturing plant and incur a lot of cost there, at least for the initial few years. Once you think you have a reasonable size of market with you, at that stage you can actually try setting up your own manufacturing base. But even for many larger companies, they don't do manufacturing themselves. If it's economically viable, they keep on getting manufacturing done from third party only and focus more on research and development and marketing and branding.
Thank you, Dr. Pastor. There's one more question, probably the last one. This is by Ravi Kant. He says that what incubation supports are available for service sector innovation working mainly on knowledge and research services and not having tangible product.
Right. So, Ravi, there are multiple things again here. So depends on what kind of content in what area. Is it educational content or knowledge? What knowledge and research services are providing? Now, incubators generally, and given the mandate that people need us more for like facilities and all that. So we are focused more on product companies, but we are open to SaaS platforms also, where new softwares are developed as a service, but not just like creating a website and putting content and all that, because from our perspective, that is something a person can do without our support also. I mean, anybody can these days create a website with a small cost. You need a server to host and start putting content there. So in such cases, generally many big incubators will not support you, but not that you'll not be able to find support. There are many incubators that will support these kind of ideas also. Investors can still support these in case they find a reasonable value in what you have created, if it's not a me too kind of a product. But from an incubator's perspective, and even for the government grants, so most of the government grants are given to more research intensive things. So wherever more R&D is required, and again, like depends on what kind of support you really need, because in your case, probably you'll just require funding if you know how to build a website. I mean, uh, here at campus, we see a lot of people kind of build web platforms themselves without even coming to the incubator, because they're able to build the platform and start garnering some traction around it and then raise for funds. So that's it. But again, it depends on what all you need. So to be specific, if you can highlight what really are you expecting out of an incubator? Mentoring and connects we can provide, but maybe not as a formal incubation for a platform-based company not having a product.
Thank you, Dr. Pastor. It's 12 now, and our next expert for the session is already here. So,
Sure.
students, if you have any other questions, you can write directly to Dr. Pastor. You can write to us also, and we'll be happily answering to all your questions. And now, after taking a half-minute break, we will be going for the next session. And we thank Dr. Pastor for giving you the entire landscape from an idea how you could convert your startup idea into an actual startup, and the various success stories which he deliberated upon, I'm sure have motivated most of you. And certainly, as I can see that you are in one or the other stage of converting your bright idea, business idea to a startup, all this will be very fruitful. So thank you, Dr. Pastor, once again. And thank you, everyone. We take a half-minute break and then we move to the next session.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Dr. Dikshit.